Well, good morning and welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I know that all of you know, but maybe those of you online don't know that we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living and that I am Reverend Jennifer. And I welcome all of you and I welcome those of you who are joining us online today. And so let's begin the service by reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's what we're doing here at Living Beyond Limits is we are reminding ourselves that yes, indeed, we are incarnations of that absolute infinite presence. That presence that is the very energy of life, that is a presence of love and of peace, that is the truth of wholeness and power. Because what happens is as we come to recognize that, then it becomes more accessible to us. That then when we find ourselves out in the world and the world is not being loving or the world is not being peaceful or somehow someone is telling us that we are less than whole, we aren't reliant to get it out there because we've already felt it and sensed it and known it and accepted it to be the truth. So then we are able to actually tap into that, our own spiritual nature, the presence of the one within us. That which we have been created out of and that which we have come here as. We can tap into the peace that is always within us, the love that is always within us, the truth of our own wholeness, our own authentic power, and bring that into the conversation, into the relationship, into the situation. It puts us in a place of power and it puts us in a place of choice. And as we are able to do that, we become a beneficial presence everywhere we go. And so I thank every single one of you for answering the call of your heart and your spirit to be walking this path, to be bringing that presence into this world in a way that is indeed beneficial. Thank you to each and every one of you. So with all the craziness that is going on in the world, from politics to political divides to wars and human rights violations to dis-ease of all sorts, and whatever else happens to be tweaking you in this world right now, it's so easy to get caught up in fear. It's so easy to get caught up in anger and in frustration, and maybe even some feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. And then perhaps you have something going on in your own personal life too that feels frustrating or that makes you angry or that causes you frustration. But what if those feelings inside of you aren't arising in order to drag you down, that they aren't arising in order to make you feel hopeless, but what if those are simply messages inside of you that says, what is happening is not okay. That what is happening is not right. And the reason it's not okay and the reason it's not right is because it doesn't jibe with your soul. It doesn't jibe with and is not in alignment with the creativity and the intelligence of the cosmos. It's not in alignment with love or with intelligence, or with that one spirit that imbues everything. That which maybe you call God, or the universe, or the infinite one, it doesn't jibe with that, and it's not in alignment with that, those things that are tweaking us. It's a message inside of you that's saying something is amiss here, and that there is something that is higher and something that is greater that wants to be expressed here. So the problem isn't really feeling fearful about the stuff that's going on in the world or in your own life. It's really the problem isn't about feeling frustrated or angry. The problem is really in the feelings of hopelessness that come about. Because hopelessness is actually born out of one of two things. It's either born out of an idea that things will never get better, that things will never change, that things will never be resolved because there is no solution. Or two, it comes out of a belief, that feeling of hopelessness, that you don't have any power to change whatever it is that's happening in the world. But in those moments of having those feelings of hopelessness, what's happening is we are forgetting that we live in and that we embody that creative intelligence of the universe that is boundless. We forget that it is out of that intelligence and that creativity that the entire cosmos has sprung forth, out of nothing but itself, out of nothing but that creativity and that intelligence and that love. That absolute presence has no beginning and no end and is everywhere present. In everyone, in you, in everyone else, everywhere, all of the time present. Literally, everything that we see in this universe is that one expressing. Every plant, every animal, every person, every object. And not only is everything we see that one presence in expression, but every single system and every single function within those things that we see is also that creative intelligence unfolding itself, expressing itself, being what it is. That means that when we see migratory impulses in animals and in birds, that is that creative intelligence implanted in those things to take them to a place where they can thrive, where there's food to eat, where there is warm weather, where they can survive and not freeze. That creative intelligence that expresses in migratory birds that can actually migrate in the dark and that can migrate when they're sleeping. There are birds that migrate, fly while they are asleep. That is a creative intelligence. It is the intelligence that is inside a baby chick, inside that egg, that tells it to peck, to get out of that egg without anyone ever showing it how to do that. What can that be other than that creative intelligence? It is that creative intelligence that is in those baby sea turtles when they come up out of the sand after they hatch out, that they know which way the ocean is. How do they know which way the ocean is? And that they know they need to get to the ocean as soon as possible. That is that creative intelligence. It's that creative intelligence that is life, that is everywhere. And we see it in plants. Not just the beauty of all of the flowers and the plants, not just the variety of the over 400,000 species plants that have been discovered and named, but also the systems within those plants. That system of photosynthesis that allows a plant to take carbon dioxide and water and synthesize it into food and then expel out of it oxygen that we need to survive. How brilliant is that? That is brilliant. Or we've talked about the ability that we have been discovered that trees actually communicate with each other. That when a dying tree or diseased tree can communicate with the other trees around it what is going on. That they can send nutrients to other trees when they're dying or when other trees need it. Or what about you? What about the abilities of your body? What about the ability of your body to be able to heal a broken bone or a cut on your hand? What about that creative intelligence that right now is turning your breakfast into bone and tissue and muscle without you knowing anything about it? What about the fact that you can learn another language or many languages, or that you can even learn to do math, or if you're like Rick Dale, that you can write music? All of that is that creative intelligence expressing itself in us in plants and animals, in all of it. So when we're stuck in feelings of hopelessness about what's going on in the world or what's going on in our own lives, we are called to remember that intelligence is present right where we are. That intelligence is present in everyone. We are also called in those moments of feeling hopeless to remember that principle is not bound by precedent. That means that possibility is never limited by what has already happened. That creative intelligence is never limited by what has been or what is now. It's never limited. It created the cosmos out of itself. There's no limitation. And so there's a story about Thomas Edison that says, Thomas Edison had some unusual vetting practices when hiring new researchers for his laboratories. He was seeking to assess intelligence and curiosity. One of these tests was the so-called soup test. Edison would invite applicants out to a restaurant, order soup for all of those at the table, and then observe their approach to the meal. He wanted to see if they added salt and pepper before tasting what was in their bowl, or if they waited until they had tasted it before proceeding with the seasoning. Edison immediately rejected the premature seasoners. He didn't want employees who relied on assumptions. In his opinion, those who were content to abide by preconceived notions had no place in his business, because the absence of curiosity and willingness to ask questions were antithetical to innovation. So what preconceived notions are you holding on to that aren't serving you, that aren't allowing something greater to come forward, which is what Edison wanted to have happen with those people in his laboratories? He needed an openness for something expansive to come through. Are there ideas that you are holding on to that are keeping the doors closed, that are keeping those floodgates closed and not allowing something greater to come forward? What is it that you are assuming will not ever change or cannot change? Reverend Lynn Nowicki says, our individuated human minds are incarnated out of the infinite beingness of the one mind. The creative power and possibility that is our birthright is only limited by the size of the mold we offer for its expression. Are we bound to the scope of our previous experiences and understanding, or are we willing to surrender into a bigger idea? Are you holding on to some past experience and thinking that it has to repeat itself? What has been going on in the world and thinking that that is going to continue to repeat itself? We create the mold that will shape our experience. And we create that mold through our thinking, through our beliefs, and through our focus. That creates an opening, or it creates a closed system that nothing new can get into. I know that here, none of us want to be stuck. And none of us want to be stuck in what is not working. We want to be able to make positive changes. We want to have hope. We want to have confidence. We want to be able to make changes in our own lives and in life around us. And so what preconceived notions are you holding on to? That you can't, whatever, fill in the blank. What are you holding on to that you think you can't do? Or are you holding on to an idea that says things will not change because blank? Things will never change because blank. Do you have one? Do you hold on to an idea of something like, In politics, nobody cares except about themselves or about their own party. Are you holding on to that idea? Are you holding an idea within you that says everyone is just out for themselves? Or are you holding on to an idea that says the fabric of this country is disintegrating? Or are you holding on to an idea that says you cannot create change in the world or in your own life? Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Let us acquiesce. Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. Let us get our limited human thinking that is based on what has happened in the past out of the way and open up so that something bigger can come through. We must get our limited and pessimistic thinking out of the way so that the all good, all creative intelligence can unfold itself." Do you get that? When we're closed, it's like this tight hose that's squeezing and nothing can get through. We have to open up and be more expansive so something greater, that which is seeking to unfold itself as the good, can unfold within us and through us. Alan Cohen tells a story. It's called "It's All About Frequency." He says, in his book, Inner Coach, Outer Power, Keith Varnum tells of a metaphysical conversation he shared with a friend while dining at a McDonald's restaurant. The two were considering that there are many different realities operating simultaneously, some of which overlap and others which do not. Keith's friend suggested, "I believe that if you and I were sitting here in a state of peace and harmony, and a bomb went off in the building next door, we might not even notice it, or might not be affected by it because our consciousness would be functioning at an entirely different frequency." Minutes later, several police officers dashed into the restaurant, charged the table where the two men were sitting and conversing, and threw them against the wall and frisked them. "What's going on?" Keith asked. "This restaurant was just robbed at gunpoint, and you two guys are the only ones here. We suspect you may be the criminals." While Keith and his friend had been immersed in their spiritual conversation, two gunmen had held up the restaurant. Then the crooks, the staff, and the other patrons had fled. Only Keith and his friend remained, oblivious to the robbery because their conversation had been in a state of mind that did not overlap with the robbery, perfectly proving what they had been discussing. The police quickly discovered that the two men were innocent and released them. Yet, the lesson runs deep. Every reality is based on a particular frequency. When you are immersed in any given reality, you have access to everything that matches that frequency, and you do not have access to anything that does not match it. So take care to choose the frequency you live in by generating thoughts, words, and actions that match what you want to experience. So the title of my talk today is, "What Are You Listening To?" And I'm talking about that you can listen to the naysayers. You can listen to the voice of doom and gloom, both within yourself and outside of yourself. Or you can listen to the call of your spirit that wants to lead you into a place of peace and harmony and wholeness and unity and equality and good. You can listen to the call of your heart and your spirit and allow it to pull you in that direction of love and unity and peace and good. You can listen to the voice of your spirit rather than the voice of fear, rather than the voice of your ego, and allow it to inform your decisions. Let it guide your actions. You can listen in the silence of your own being for a higher truth than what your yammering human mind can tell you. But it's quiet, and it's in here. It has a different vibration, but it's always a voice of love. It's always a voice of good. It's never a voice of fear or pessimism, because it's the same energy as spirit. It's limitless. It knows the truth, but it's in here, not here. We can listen within to that voice that is not based in fear or hopelessness or anger. It's not the voice of your ego. We can listen within to that place within us where there is no problem. That place where there is no problem is that creative energy of life. It's the same thing. Let that all good lead you in your life. Ernest Holmes says in this thing called You, one of my favorite books, you are living in an intelligence which instantly knows the answer to any problem. Then you are living in an intelligence which has no problem. That problem that we see in the world is a limited perspective. It's not the whole picture. So we can begin by shifting our thinking. We can shift what we are telling ourselves. We can shift from saying things are never going to change or it just won't work. Instead, we can shift and we can ask ourselves, what if it works? What if this works out? We can ask ourselves, what if it changes? What if it's already changing now? Would you just say that after me? What if it works? What if it changes? What if it's changing now? Let's do it again. What if it works? What if it changes? What if it changes now? Do you feel a shift in your energy? Creates a looseness and an openness of possibility. It creates a space so something greater can come in, so something new can come in. I've told you this story before, but it cracks me up and I love it. A long time ago, when we were meeting at Lakewood Country Club and we were holding a Taizé service, which means a meditation service. It's a service where there's readings and music, and the whole service is meditation. And afterwards, one of our members, Barbara Zunich, came up and was complaining to me that she hates meditating. She says, but you know what? While I was sitting there, I've been having this conflict with a woman that I'm in an organization with, and it came to me how to resolve it. Hello? That's what we're doing, is we're just creating some space in our thinking that isn't based on what we've already thought a million times. Create some space for something new, something bigger, something grander. Second thing that we can do is we can actually tell ourselves, I may not know the answer or the solution right now, but that infinite presence within me does. And I am listening. So say that with me. I may not know the answer or solution now, but the infinite within me does. And I am listening. Let's do it one more time. I may not know the answer or solution now, but the infinite within me does. And I am listening. I listen for it. I listen for it. And so as you move through your days, listen for that. When you're stuck in a problem, when you're feeling frustrated and angry and hopeless, listen for that. I may not know the answer to this, but the infinite within me does. I listen for it. And as you move through your days, listen for it. What's that higher voice say? What's that higher perspective? What's that expansive viewpoint? It's already inside of you. You just got to create space for it to come forward. Listen to that I am presence of your own self. Not the fear, not the drama, but instead the boundlessness of your own I amness. And know that what you see happening in the world is not all that there is. It's not the whole picture. It's not all that is actually happening. It's what you can see happening, but it's a little tiny slice of what's happening. So know that what you see, read, think about is not all that's happening. And take time to perceive something higher than what the media is telling you, something higher than what your voice of fear is telling you, higher than what your frustration is telling you. Unplug and allow yourself to discover and to remember that there is a great something out of which the cosmos has been created, a boundless intelligence, a boundless creativity that is here also now. And let that which is the ground of your own beingness and the ground of all being, the thing that you remember. Let it lead you and let it guide you. Let it inspire you. You do that through reading things that are inspiring to you, through watching things on the internet or TV that are inspiring to you, that help you see something bigger. You do it through affirmative prayer, through meditation, through using your affirmations to move you from what is stuckness to something bigger. And ask yourself, what if it works? What if it's already working now? What if it changes? What if it's changing now? And as you do that, you'll be a catalyst for that good to unfold itself through your consciousness into your life and into this world. And so blessings to every single one of you as you awaken to your own spiritual nature, as you awaken to the omnipresence of spirit that is always right where you are, and as you act as a beneficial presence to yourself and to this world. Blessings to all of you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer as we together turn our awareness and our attention to the truth, the capital T truth, that indeed there is only one power, one presence, one life, one beingness, and it is omnipresent. That one infinite and creative intelligence we see in every single thing that we look at. We see it in the trees as they take in the sunlight and as they draw from the earth and spread their branches, as they create homes for birds and squirrels, food, oxygen. We see that intelligence everywhere. We see it in our own beating hearts, in our own circulating blood. We see it as love being expressed. We see it as the truth of oneness, expressing as unity and caring and compassion and kindness. We see it as health and wholeness, as our bodies heal, as our bodies continuously renew themselves. We see it in our own hearts as inspiration and hope, and a knowingness that there is indeed something more, something greater than what our human eyes have been perceiving. And it is love, and it is creativity, and it is intelligence itself. And that is unfolding itself in and through everything and everyone. It is filling our lives It is leading us and guiding us and revealing to our inner ear something bigger, something better, something good. For good is the nature of God. They are synonymous. And so today we step into the good, recognizing that wherever we go, we are walking in that good and with that good and as that good. For that good is life having its way, life expressing itself. And so I also speak this word about every single person on this planet, that right where they are is also this creative love intelligence. And right now, everywhere there is an opening. And wherever there is an opening, there is a greater and a fuller and a more divine expression unfolding itself. And so in our mind's eye right now, everywhere we look across this planet, we see openings. Openings for the good to unfold. I recognize wholeness and health and abundance, prosperity, coming together, harmony in relationships. And I speak this word also about our politicians and world leaders, military leaders, everyone who is making decisions on this planet, that they right now are being inspired by that within them, which is the I am of their own beingness. That power is the only power that there is, and that power is greater than anything that looks unlike it. So today, spirit unfolds itself across this planet as wisdom and guidance, as peace and prosperity, as harmony and love, as an abundance of all good. And we just revel in that. And so I release this prayer into that creative law, knowing that it is unfolding itself all around us and within us, simply because it has always been, and it always will be, and it is the all in all. And so I release this word in gratitude, and I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. And so I do have a couple of opportunities for you. One is that Pat Scott and Mike Winterer are doing outreach for homeless people in Long Beach. There's a sign up there I see that they brought today thanking us for participating in Undie Sunday and people contributing things. If you would like to get involved in what they are doing, please talk to them. I also think there's a sign-up sheet on the back table that has their contact information if that's something you would like to participate in on a regular basis or just, on occasion. But we invite you to do that. Just to let you know, we have prayer support after service. There's a Ministry of Prayer box in the back. You can fill out a prayer request. We will support you during the week. We have prayer shawls if you want to wrap yourself or someone in that energy of prayer. The practitioners will pray over it for your specific desired outcome, and then you can take that with you. Or the practitioners are available for prayer after service. Will you raise your hand if you're a practitioner? Any of them are happy to sit down with you and do affirmative prayer with you if there's something going on in your life that you would like to be supported in. Our Sunday talks are available. They come out Monday night on our website or on our YouTube channel. And we invite you to help us grow via social media. We are on Meetup and Instagram and Facebook, and to share the things with your friends as though you receive those, because that's how one of the ways we get the word out today. And so I invite you to repeat after me, good fills my life now.
Good fills my life now.
I step into it.
I step into it.
I own it.
I own it.
I celebrate it.
I celebrate
and
it.
So it is.
And so